I don't know if he'll be, oh, 3-2-1 live. LT, how's it going, folks? I've been talking this whole time, and I keep seeing 3-2-1, 3-2-1, and finally I see the live button go up. I've just been telling everybody, these news and notes of what's been going on. But hey, glad LT could join us because LT, I was telling, as I said earlier, that probably wasn't recorded, that we've had something happen in this past mini draft that we've had that's never happened before in the history of all our mini drafts. I'm sure I can't wait to tell people that. But hey, I'll just retell the people about the injuries that happened last week. Panthers Bryce Young. Hey, fire up Anti Dalton shares if you're in a super flex league, because you know what, folks, it is upon us. Week 8 is here. We've been highlighting it for the past 3 weeks. It is bipocalypse time. What does that mean? You might say, what's bipocalypse? That means 6, not 1, not 2, not 4, but 6 NFL teams are off this week. And if we're going to couple that with some injuries that happened last week, definitely tune in for our waiver wire. So we're going to try and help people out. But we talked about Panthers, Bryce Young out, high ankle sprain, 3 to 4 weeks. Kendre Miller out for the year, ACL tear. Brian Thomas Jr., an apparent right shoulder injury. I think people that have been waiting for Travis Hunter to blow up, this could be their time. Dolphins tight end Darren Waller, pectoral injury in the first half, ruled out shortly afterwards. He's gone from day to day to week, and folks, we always said on this show, week to week is 7 times worse than day to day. So that means he will miss some time, in our opinion. Bears tight end Cole Kmet, a back injury. That could open things up for, he might have made my waiver wire, Colston Loveland, folks. This could be the time to fire up some Colston Loveland shares. And Mike Evans, everybody was saying, yeah, Mike Evans back, goes out. And people thought it was possibly a re-aggravation, but it's like he was knocked out. So I would say, okay, that's just a concussion. Well, then they came out this morning, fractured collarbone. And for all those people that had Charles Rogers back in the day, a fractured collarbone is a season-ending injury, which is unfortunate because Mike Evans was going to try and set the record for most consecutive 1,000-yard receiving yards in back-to-back, which has ended abruptly. And then Nico Collins, it looks like he's got a concussion, got in a fourth quarter concussion. He could be out for the foreseeable future. And Kareem Hunt, that is he limped off the field. I had 2 guys. Okay, so that looks like an ankle injury. But folks, if you've been following this show, we've been saying Kareem Hunt, his snap share has been going down in the air, and it looks like Smith, the running back, the shiny new running back toy for the Kansas City Chiefs, could be picking up steam. Did I miss any injuries that you know of, LT, that comes to your mind?
No, that's it. You good on the injuries. I think that's all of them.
Okay. Well, hey, we'll go to the fun part of the show, and we're going to talk about some studs. Mr. LT, are there any studs you want to talk about? Hey, if we want to talk about studs, we could just talk about Thursday night, right? Joe Flacco, Aaron Rodgers, the dueling 40-year-old quarterbacks. It was crazy left and right. Pat Freiermuth being a phoenix, rising from the dead with just bomb after bomb from Aaron Rodgers. Joe Flacco making T. Higgins relevant, making Jamar Chase relevant, when they're relevant, and guess what? When they went and double covered, when Pittsburgh went into the zone to double cover, what happened? Chase Brown broke out. So, folks, finally, Chase Brown showed that, hey, if you give him room, he can produce. And I think this is definitely a optimist standpoint for all your Bengal owners. And heck, like I said, I'm gonna put Jaylen Warren, folks. Let's not get too happy with Jaylen Warren. Yes, he had it seemed like 200 yards rushing, but it's like what I love. This is what I love about Pittsburgh's offense, folks. If you watch Pittsburgh, they put Darnell Washington and they got this other offensive tackle that they bring in. They put him on one side of the field, and they run to that side. It's pretty self-evident. Cincinnati, I'm telling you, LT, if they would have run that play over and over, Jalen Warren could have set the record for most yards in a game. But they didn't do it. They wanted I guess they wanted Aaron Rodgers to get some work as well, because every time Jalen Warren touched the ball, it seems like he ripped off big yardage left and right. But yeah, hey, fire up your Bengal shares. Joe Flacco is making things good in Bengal land. Jonathan Taylor, another day, another 3 touchdowns. LT, are there any words that can explain what's going on with Jonathan Taylor this year?
Yeah, the best running back in the NFL.
So
him and McCaffrey are doing things this year that is unprecedented.
And that's what I was about to bring up. The only thing that takes the shine off of what Jonathan Taylor did once again was what Christian McCaffrey did. 40 points in our league of record due to all the they didn't have to throw the ball. They said, hey, George Kittle's back. They said, George Kittle, we don't want you to go out and run routes. We want you to block. Maybe that'll ease them into route running and stuff like that, because they were just mowing the Falcons over, and Christian McCaffrey was back. Now, I'll go back to this argument I had when you made the Christian McCaffrey experience 2 years ago, that he literally ran you to a championship. Is there any worry of possible wear and tear that it could catch up to him going forward?
Oh, of course. By week 16, 17, he's going to start getting tired, and those hits are going to start taking their toll.
And the only thing, I think the reason he hadn't broke up now is because he had hardly any hits last year. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing that has kept him fresh.
Well, also, the 49ers don't have anybody else on the team. He's got to do it all by himself. He doesn't have much of a choice right now.
Yeah, they got Mac Jones in there throwing to Kindleborn and Tongues. And like I said, that Kittle. If everybody was all excited about Kittle coming back, Kittle got 0 points. But you know what? He didn't run any routes. He went. I think he ran like 3 pass routes, and the reason they was like, hey, they were so successful running the ball. They said, hey, we're not going to take any chances. And everybody that had any other pass catcher, besides McCaffrey, was disappointed in that game. The only stud for the San Francisco 49ers in that game was George Kittle. And Bijan Robinson, just another day at the office, another 20-point game. Pretty inefficient compared to what he has done in the past. But yeah, just another efficient game for Bijan Robinson. You have any studs other that I missed that you might want to point out?
Yeah, just the Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco on Thursday. You know what they said leading up to the game? What is this, 2015? I just don't get it sometimes.
And they looked like they were in their prime, didn't they, LT? They were slinging the ball. Hey, speaking of, I think it's the first time we've had 2 studs in a London game. How about that Matthew Stafford to Devontae Adams hookup on Sunday morning?
3 touchdowns.
I think Devontae had 3 catches. He had the Jerome Bettis treatment. 3 touches, 3 touchdowns. But every time they got to the 1-yard line, it was great. They got to the 1-yard line, and he gave it to the dud of the week in Kyron Williams, who got stuffed. And they said, well, dang, you ain't going to get in? I'll just throw it to Devontae Adams because we know he's going to catch it. And, that was the most puzzling defense I've ever seen from Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, we singled Devontae Adams up, single coverage, right? Man to man 2 times, and he caught 2 touchdowns. Let's do it a 3rd time and see if it works. It didn't work. He got a 3rd touchdown. Puzzling coaching. From the Jacksonville Jaguars, they deserve to get beat which is crazy because like London is like their second home. Jacksonville has the most London games out of any NFL team. It's almost like a second home for them. But yeah, they didn't show up. It was all the Rams all the times. And yeah, one of the few times you'll see a guy in Matthew Stafford with under 200 yards passing but have 5 passing touchdowns. So that's one of those anomalies that just kind of stick out to you. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Javonte, you name a Cowboy, and Jake Ferguson, and they had a good game again. And it looked like, Jalen Daniels was going to match him point for point. Got that hammy injury, so he's going to be out for what could be a couple weeks. Marcus Mariota, an adequate fill-in again, folks, for your Superflex leagues with a bipocalypse upon us. Take a chance on a Marcus Mariota. Take a chance on a Andy Dalton.
I've got Jaden Daniels, and I promise you, I picked up Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, hey, there you go. And folks, I was fortunate, and talking about Thursday night, I'm going to give people the experience I had. I have Josh Allen on one of my teams, and I was going against another person in the league, and he's the Joe Burrow owner, and he's been streaming quarterbacks, and he finally picked up Joe Flacco for this week. So I said, oh man, I got Joe Flacco. I'm kind of snickering him. I said, oh, I'm not going to miss Josh Allen. I said, let me pick up Aaron Rodgers just so I could have some action on Thursday night, since Josh Allen, and like I said, believe it or not, point-wise, even though Aaron Rodgers had more touchdowns, Joe Flacco had over 350 yards and his 3 touchdowns. So Flacco actually outscored Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, the Aaron Rodgers experience was quite nice. And folks, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, well, I'll save his upcoming schedule because he is definitely on my waiver wire pickup list. Hey, we'll go on the same game, the Dallas game. We'll go from a stud to a dud. What happened to Bill Krosky-Merritt? LT, is he really dependent on game script to where he's only going to be efficient when they're ahead? Because when he was behind, it's like, hey, and when Jane Daniels isn't out there to keep defenses honest, they can gang up on Bill, and he showed why he's a 7th round draft pick.
He is a very good. He's a good rushing back, but coming out of the backfield and trying to catch the ball on checkdowns, that's just not part of his game.
And unfortunately, in our opinion, he's not that good of a pass blocker. So I think pass protection. So that's why when they were in catch-up mode, they kind of shuffled him and put the McNichols in there, who's a pass catching specialist and great on blitz pickup. And even Chris Rodriguez got back in the action due to good pass protection, veteran in the league. But hey, let's talk about the Bears. A couple studs in the Bears. DeAndre Swift continuing to do his thing out there. And I think with the Caleb Williams struggle, that is really playing into the hands of DeAndre Swift. But what about do you have any thoughts about Kyle Monangai? I would say surprise, performance.
He's been playing pretty well. Monangai's been playing well in the time that he actually gets on the field. But this time he had a lot more time in this game being on the field. And he would definitely be on my short list of waiver wire prospects this week if you don't have a whole lot of options and you're in those buys.
Yeah. And you talk about that, folks. We talk about the Bear running back situation as let's draw a parallel to what Ben Johnson, what he did. What did he have in Detroit? He had the 2 running back system. He had the Thunder Lightning, the Thunder of David Montgomery, and the Lightning of Jahmyr Gibbs. This could be the same kind of thing. And it's almost like the DeAndre Swift being reborn. He could be kind of like a slower version of Jahmyr Gibbs, but kind of like the explosive back. And then Monangai being the David Montgomery role. And folks, when he had them both, people started them both. And you were talking about his snap share. Hey, just last week, 13 he carried 13 times, 81 yards and a score. 2 catches on 3 targets, 13 more yards. So yes, DeAndre Swift had 19 carries, and but the Bears are playing well, and I think they're going to be to a point where, hey, if they can control the game on the ground, they don't want to have to ask, Caleb Williams to win the game. And that now again, this was the Saints, one of the not so good teams in the NFL. It was at home, so this could change if the game script changes. But I think Monangai is proving, hey, it's not like they gave him touches and he didn't perform. He did. He performed up to it. But hey, another step. We'll talk about everyone on the Chargers. Was that not a fun game, LT? As soon as Justin Herbert got down, he said, bump this running with Vidal. I'm going to throw it to Q Johnson. I'm going to throw it to Ladd McConkey. I'm going to throw it to Keenan Allen. But you know what? I'm really going to throw it to rookie tight end Oronde Gadsden.
Yep. In the last 2 weeks, Gadsden has had 7 targets each week. He has had 14 targets in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and just last week, 7 of those catches was for 164 yards and a tutty. So, yeah, you're right. But the only downside is if they're not in a catch-up role, that it's going to be hard for him to get in a pecking order with Keenan Allen, with a Ladd McConkey, with Q Johnson, because they have lots of good targets in LA. He was amazing. But yeah, I mean that was just one of the many things. Now I want to go to another dud list, Drake London. And the reason I'm bringing it to you, LT, you actually had Drake London in your mini draft, and he's the main reason you did. Is there any concern for Drake London, or is it just basically only start your Falcons when they're at home and worry about them other than Bijan Robinson on the road?
It very well could be, but I think that was more of a who was guarding him, and he had a couple of calls, he had a couple of penalties against him, and one of the defenders took the ball out of his hand after he'd already caught the ball.
He did.
Sometimes the game is just bad luck.
Yeah,
the throws don't go your way.
Hey, and I'm going to talk a little about 2 studs on the Chiefs. The Mahomes Rashee Rice. That looked like he's in midseason form, did it not, LT? I mean, everybody that had the Rashee Rice, hopefully you started him. We were on the show saying, hey, do you start Deebo Samuel against Dallas or Rashee Rice? And 411 had no hesitation. Me and you were a little hesitant because of the matchup. But with Deebo being declared out, that made that decision a lot easier to go with Rashee Rice. But yes, mid-season form, folks. He looked good on that little pop pass on the end around. And, now Patrick Mahomes looks like Patrick Mahomes of 4 years ago. So yeah, it looks like he's hitting it full stride. Hey, let's go to Monday night. With Jahmyr Gibbs definitely on the stud list, and him being so studly put David Montgomery on the dud list. So just total polar opposites on that. And and Baker Mayfield, who's been our MVP on the show, I mean, he made the right read 100% of the time, but he was overthrowing his guys all night long. So I don't know if it was the pressure. What do you think it was?
So is this a chance where he actually came up against a strong defense and wasn't able to perform like he's been doing?
I think so, because I wasn't scared of the back end, because Detroit was in their back 4, 2 backup cornerbacks, 2 backup safeties. They literally had second stringers out there in the secondary. And that's why his guys were wide open. However, they were able to get pressure with their front 4 who were healthy, and that rushed his throw. So yeah, and it could be that, hey, the pumpkin is struck midnight. He's turning, the carriages are back into the pumpkin. The horses are going back to mice and stuff. But a good cure for him could be the Saints on deck. So I wouldn't be too upset. Unfortunately, but hey, well, and I'll pose this to you because both of the guys made our waiver show last week. We both said Sterling Shepard and Tez Johnson. Well, it's that again because a lot of people might not have just passed on them with the news that Ibuka could be back, with the news that Mike Evans could be back. Well, if nobody picked them up, who do you like between Sterling Shepard and Tez Johnson as a pickup for your Tampa Bay?
Sterling Shepard should already be on somebody's team. Sterling Shepard should have been picked up weeks ago, but I do like Tez Johnson. Tez Johnson is out there in a lot of leagues right now.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I think Tez could soak up some of those Cade Otton targets, and what I mean by that is he really couldn't go into the middle of the field because Ibuka was out there and Sterling Shepard's more of a slot receiver, so Tez had to play out wide. I think they're going to kind of switch it. I think they're going to move Sterling Shepard out wide because I think they're going to like Tez, who's kind of small and shifty, to play that slot receiver. And I think Cade Otton is still, I think he might have to stay on the block just because they're still trying to recover from the offensive line injuries in there. But yeah, Tez Johnson is my favorite receiver as the pickup. I like him more than Sterling Shepard because Sterling Shepard's going to get you the targets, he's going to get the catches, but he's only going to get he has that floor. Tez, I want that high upside, high ceiling type player where he could take a 20-yard slant route and turn it into a 40-yard touchdown, just because he has that type of skill set, and that's one of the things I like about that. So, Mr. LT, do you have any duds or studs you want to talk about?
Duds, of course. Just look at my whole team last week. They were all duds.
Now that you said, I was looking over your matchup, LT, and let's see.
Jalen Waddle. Oh my God.
Brutal. Yeah.
Jalen Waddle.
Jameson Williams, 0 on your on a roster. Kareem Hunt got hurt.
Kareem Hunt getting hurt. Yep.
Mason Taylor. That was and folks, unfortunately, he was going against the 31st ranked defense against tight ends and couldn't do anything.
This should have been one of his best games against one of the lower defenses. He had one of the highest projected point totals, and then for him to come out and do absolutely nothing. I mean, 3 catches for 31 yards. That's all he did.
I mean, because you had decent performances. You had
even with Garrett Wilson. With Garrett Wilson, I mean, he just wasn't doing it. Wasn't getting the job done.
Are they going to throw Garrett Wilson, or do you think Tyrod Taylor is going to hold the job for now?
Probably Garrett Wilson. So I don't know.
So are you think they're going back to Justin Fields?
I hope so. They should. They should go back to Justin
especially
Fields.
Going against Dallas. I mean, I want to see Justin Fields against a bad defense for once, just to see what happens. Hey, what about your man Kenneth Walker? LT, is it cause for concern?
It's a lot of cause for concern because Charbonnet's back, and he took up a whole lot of it.
Took 2 touchdowns away from Kenneth Walker.
He took a lot of the touches.
Yeah. Justin Fields, we talked about him. He's on the dud list. Ja'Cory Croskett-Merritt, we talked about Matthew Golden. A lot of people were trying to think he could start. Hey, if you're a Packer wide receiver, the only stud on Green Bay is that running back, Josh Jacobs. He's the only stud if you're a Green Bay Packer. Any type of catcher, Romeo Doubs, he'll get you your 13 points, but he's not going to get you. Well, he did get 3 touchdowns that one game when he played with one of those sorry defenses. But other than that, But hey, another stud. We got to talk about Mr. 401's favorite team a little bit in Seattle. I mean, JSN. I mean, besides Puka Nacua, I think JSN is in now the tier of your Justin Jefferson, your Jamar, tier 1, folks. If you have him in there, you got a 20-point guy, in there. And if Mr. 401 wasn't running the controls, I'd like to see what his comment was for JSN, because JSN is the one that beat me and you LT in the mini draft when Mr. 401 with one of his players.
Oh yeah, he is absolutely in that top tier right now. I mean, it's just he's getting 8 catches every game, over 100 yards, and scoring touchdowns.
Scoring touchdowns. I mean, that's what I'm saying. He's getting them, and you want to talk about target domination. We talked about week 1. I mean, he's still targeting. I mean, the next highest catch on the Seattle was 3 catches. I think Cooper Kupp had that early touchdown, and then we didn't hear from him the rest of the game. So yeah, it was one of those just odd things. And I was talking about Ted McMillan for the Carolina, another dud. Just say was it Bryce, but he wasn't getting looks from Bryce. I don't know what's happened to Ted McMillan. You could say it was the Sauce Gardner treatment, because usually when you play the Jets, you go to the number 2 receiver. That's why Leggett was so popular. So I wouldn't be too worried about Ted McMillan, especially coming up. He won't be going against Sauce Gardner anymore. Vidal had an off game, but again, game script dependent. So you take, you're going to take the good, you're going to take the bad. ATN, Travis Etienne, a dud. I mean, again, 44 rush yards, but again, that was game script, I believe. They only had 8 carries, But hey, we talked about what would happen when Chuba Hubbard come back.
Yep.
Chuba Hubbard had hit 55% of the carries. Rico Dowdle 45% of the carries. So I think that is something that we were speculating, and it looked like it worked its way in there. So
what about Devonta Smith? I mean, just unreal performance.
Every pass catcher, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, and which helped out Jalen Hurts. So yes, good point. Devontae Smith, a career game in yardage, and AJ Brown bringing in the touchdowns. They showed that they can pass the ball, because what did their opponent do? They stacked the box, which caused Barkley to once again be on the dud list.
Right.
That's what teams are going to do. They're going to say, hey, let's see if Jalen Hurts can beat us. And the answer was yes, Jalen Hurts can beat you. So now, will this open things up for Saquon Barkley going forward? I don't know. Are you worried at all about Saquon Barkley, LT?
Saquon? No, you know exactly what this is going to do. He threw all those passing yards this week. Next week, he's going to rush for 2 touchdowns.
So, well, the thing is, Mr. LT, he hadn't rushed for 2 touchdowns yet this year. Going against the Giants. So we'll see. Stay tuned. The Giants were able to hold J.K. Dobbins in there. Oh, speaking of studs, we had one guy that was a dud and a stud in the same game. Bo Nix was a dud in quarters 1 through 3, and then he was a stud, and he had 4 points in the first 3 quarters, mind you, and then he ended up with over 30 points in the game. That just goes to show you Bo Nix scored over 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns in 1 quarter. Amazing that he was able to do that.
33 points in 1 quarter.
I mean, you can't. I wouldn't, if I didn't see it, I wouldn't believe it, because our LT, I actually watched that game, because that and the Charger games were on separate TVs, because those were just phenomenal back and forth. You gotta love shootouts. There any more studs and duds?
Yeah, I've got one combo that I have on another one of my leagues, and the best combo to me right now is Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo.
Oh man!
Between those two, you're talking about 50 to 60 points every week.
Yeah, and if people remember the game that kind of Jackson kind of jump started their ascending fantasy greatness, they play again in Philadelphia. So yes, I definitely want to see if they can keep that up, because yes, they have been a great young combination on this on the early season.
Absolutely.
So any more before we hit the waiver wire?
Well, I went against a Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen was rough last week also. Those Chargers, I mean to tell you, 29 points. It's just Keenan Allen was crazy
Yeah,
last week.
he dialed back the clock on that one, Mr. 411. Like I said, if you had a Charger not named Vidal, you were happy. Let me tell you.
And I started Vidal, I promise
Yeah.
you.
Oh, yeah, and I was a guy that was. You want to talk about a 30-point swing? I sat Gatson and started Kittle in one of my leagues.
Ooh,
Yeah,
ouch.
yeah. And of course I lost by 3 points. So that just goes to show you in that one league where I have Kittle, he literally cost me the game. All I needed was 2 catches from Kittle. I went,
Mm.
LT, I wasn't asking for much. you know, I mean, I already sat a guy with 30 points on my bench, and because I was so excited about getting Kittle back. And, even though, yes, I know the Falcons were, you said calculated. Falcons were number one in the league against tight ends. Well, they really didn't play a lot of good tight ends up to this point.
No.
But hey, it came back. It came back to bite me. So
Okay, so here's one more question before we get off of the studs and duds. Now last week we had bye weeks. I had Lamar Jackson on a bye, so I started Jackson Dart. So now that Lamar Jackson is back, do
you
you
play Lamar
put
Jackson.
him in your starting
You
lineup?
play Lamar Jackson. No worries.
No
I mean,
worries.
it's not a discussion. Lamar Jackson, and now, however, I keep Jackson Dart because hamstring
Oh, of course.
injuries are tricky.
Oh, of course.
But I'll tell you right now, because I picked up Aaron Rodgers in my Josh Allen league. I'm going to wind up dropping Aaron Rodgers because I need place. I need extra. I need extra bench spots for this week for the bipocalypse.
Right.
But yeah, if you're one of those owners, and when I mean by bipocalypse, folks, I'm talking about Arizona on a bye, Detroit on a bye, Jacksonville on a bye, Las Vegas on a bye, Rams on a bye, Seattle on a bye. So lots of bye weeks coming up. So yes, that's why we'll be hitting that waiver wire hard. Any more before I hit that waiver wire, Mr. LT?
Nah, let's get to it.
Oh, and yeah, I know you. I know you have guys that you want to throw out there. Hey, LT, do you still have that high waiver priority? In oh, good.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. That means I'm gonna make my picks before you can put anything in there. I'll use my number 11 waiver priority over guys I like. But no, hey, one of the top two. I actually have two running backs. We're gonna talk about Kyle Monangai. Hey, he is now he is Ben Johnson's David Montgomery. David Montgomery and Ben Johnson the past 2 years, standalone value. Chicago ranks third in ESPN's run block win rate. What does that mean? That means they are road graders. They can run the ball. And they got a week 5 bye. So hey, Monangai and they don't have a bye near the end of the week. So the only way to keep your guys fresh now is you got to rotate them. So yes, Chicago won't produce 33 carries like they did against the Saints, but I think they'll take less carries away, take more carries from Roschon Johnson to sprinkle over their top two. He's the guy that thing. But yeah, the trend has really leaned away from the pass for Chicago. So that means more runs for Monangai. And hey, I like like I said, we talked about that Kansas City running back. I just know his name's Smith. Brashard Smith, I think is his name, something like that. Hey, he's with Kareem Hunt kind of banged up. It's one of those things that with him being banged up, that's going to produce more carries to the rookie because we know what they got in Isaiah Pacheco. They know what they got. But he really is not a pass catching specialist. Smith is. So I think that's another guy that we could look going forward. Again, Tez Johnson, if he's still out there, he is a guy that I like for Tampa Bay. Good ceiling type player. And hey, what about let's throw a tight end. I said earlier, Komet got an injury. Do you think that's going to open things up for Colston Loveland for the Bears?
It very could easily do it. It could open him up a whole lot of opportunities on that line.
And guess
He
what?
could be.
And this could be a good game because we saw that the Baltimore Ravens has struggled against tight ends with all their injuries. So this could be a week that now I still want to wait and see because I want to see how severe the injury is to Komet. And I did reach out to our Bears insider LT. Mr. Windy City Warriors. I asked him his thing. He says he don't know what the Bears were doing when they wanted to draft Loveland and not use him. They said he says he don't understand it. He said he don't know if Ben Johnson was mad because he got the early injury in training camp. But folks, I mean, eventually you put the draft capital in a guy like that, you might want to start using him. But Ben Johnson is funny. Our Chicago insiders. So I posed this. I said, hey, even with your Homer hat on, do you pick up? He said he's not picking them up. He's not picking up Loveland. He needs to wait and see a little bit more. So if he's not picking up Loveland, I'm not picking him up. And folks, we already talked about Aronde Gaston. Is he's out there now? It's now time to roster him because he can't. You can't do much more, and especially if they're going to have to continue to pass the ball. But a new guy, that guy that came out of nowhere, Dalton Schultz, folks. Hey, we talk about McBride on a bye. We talk about we're talking about the different bye weeks. You got Ingram, or you got Laporta. He's on a bye this week. So you got Bowers has been on a bye, but you picked up Mayer, he's on a bye this week. So a lot of guys on a bye. Barner, a lot of people picked him up for Seattle. They're on a bye week. Dalton Schultz, you could do worse than Dalton Schultz, 9 catches, 98 yards, team high 10 targets. So yes, he's had 5 catches in 4 straight. Just note that Houston entered the game without Christian Kirk, and he was inactive, and Nico Collins exited the game with a concussion. Folks, Dalton Schultz might be the only show in town. So if if you got one of those tight ends, you need help with tight ends, you could do work. Yeah, Dalton Schultz ain't going to get you those touchdowns because he's one of those guys. No, LT, you could probably hang not too far behind Dalton Schultz on a 40-yard dash. My people say in Houston, my Houston correspondent said Dalton Schultz speed is deceiving. He's slower than he looks. So that is what I heard about Dalton Schultz. But you know what? He gets open, and that's all that matters. He finds he's that old crafty veteran that can get open. But I like Dalton Schultz. And hey, Aaron Rodgers, you mentioned it. If somebody didn't pick up Aaron Rodgers, you got, all these, you got the Jared Goff on a bye. You got the Trevor Lawrence's on a bye. Hey, if Aaron Rodgers is still out there, the man throws the ball. And I teased it earlier. This is his outlook. All right. The next 4 matchups for Aaron Rodgers. Packers. You may say, oh, Packers. They got a good defense, right? Well, they had a good defense the first 2 games of the year. But just last week, Jacoby Brissett, 69.4% completion rate, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns. That is pretty good. All right. Hey, the Colts, 2 weeks from now, they are without Charvarius Ward and just gave up 20-plus fantasy points to the last 4 quarterbacks that the Colts have faced due to catch-up mode. The Chargers, we just saw what Daniel Jones did to the Chargers last week, and we all know what Aaron Rodgers did to the Bengals. He can do it again in 4 weeks in Pittsburgh this time. So Aaron Rodgers, hey, now I don't know. LT, I think I just taught myself how to dropping Aaron Rodgers, but I have Josh Allen. I can't push the button and start Aaron Rodgers ahead of Josh Allen. I just can't do it, folks.
But like you just said, you still need to hang on to him just in case.
I might. It's just one of those things. And wide receiver. Hey, are you any way intrigued with Xavier Legette?
Not really. They still have
the, the,
he's number two tight end.
the,
2 years ago, he had a great outlook for him to play,
yeah.
and he put up good numbers when he was on the field. He's just not on the field that much.
Yeah, and and also I think his target share could go down now that Jalen Coker is back. Jalen Coker did not do much this past week, but again, I think he was still rounding into shape. Remember, Jalen Coker was the rising star in Carolina. Him and Ted McMillan, they were going young at the wide receivers, but then Coker got hurt. In the practice right before preseason. So I think he's gonna once he starts getting back, he'll cut into that 92% route share that Leggett is currently getting. And hey, we talked about Nico Collins, right? Are you interested in any of the receivers that the Texans have? Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, both rookie wide receivers for the Texans. Any of those might catch your eye,
I
LT?
like I like Higgins. He's a very good looking rookie, and on the rookie charts, he's like third or fourth on the list. But he still didn't do anything this week. I mean,
Yeah,
it was only like two catches.
yeah, and Noel is actually the guy that got the lion's share of the catches in that
Hmm.
game. But yeah, Jaden Higgins has the higher draft profile, the higher draft capital, and
Right.
then Noel is the guy that actually produced. So it's one. Hey, if you need some help, you need help. But if I had a gun to my head, I'm going to the Dalton Schultz area, and gun to my head, if it's a wide receiver you need between those two, I'm taking Noel because even though the guy had the higher draft capital, I'm going with the guy who did the better production. We talked about Rashard Smith for the Chiefs. I think he has standalone value if Kareem Hunt is actually declared out because, hey, just this last week, Rashard Smith for the Chiefs, career highs in target share, 15%, snap share, 36%, and carry share, 41%. Yes, it was a blowout against Vegas, but it looks like Kansas City's going to be doing a lot of blowouts. Hey, they have a Jane Daniels less Commanders on deck, and they have what could be a shootout against Buffalo in 2 weeks. So, hey, I think if you need a pass catchy back, remember Jared McKinnon was had standalone value with Kansas City, and this is kind of like I think Rashard Smith's a younger, faster is Jarek McKinnon. So definitely a guy that you could do worse. And folks, we talked about Kendre Miller. Who's the next man up? Because hey, Kamara's not getting any younger, LT. But hey, you have any interest possibly in Devin Neal, the guy who's taking over Kendre Miller's place in the lineup?
He could very easily step in and put up the same numbers. And it depends on how he performs as to how much timeshare he's going to get.
Yeah, and I'm saying I stash Neil if you're needy and you got the space because right now a lot of people aren't going to know him, but all it takes is one good game and then he's off the waiver wire. So you need to get him now while a lot of people don't know about him. But folks, this guy was great in college, very shifty. Oh, and guess what? He could catch the ball too. So I think, and not only that, for people in dynasty leagues, I don't think he'll be available in dynasty leagues. But if you're in one of those keeper leagues where you got to give up, like 2 rounds earlier, a lot of standard default rounds is 12th round in a keeper league. I think he's a guy that you can get in there because I don't think Kendre Miller's coming back, folks. We saw what happened last time he had it. But hey, Kamara is signed through 2026, and then that's it. And from what I hear is Alvin Kamara is not going to sign another extension. The Saints are going to give him another. Alvin Kamara will, and this I'm the Saints insider for the show, so I can tell you my sources tell me that Alvin Kamara will retire after his 2026 contract is up. He's not going to sign another contract. He's going to ride off into the sunset because they gave him his retirement check in his last contract extension last year. I'm gonna be on this podcast. I want to be on this podcast to say a farewell to Kamara when he goes because I was very happy with the career he's given us. But yeah, Neal is a great keeper option. And if you're on some kind of dynasty league where Neal is there, go ahead and roster him because he will be great as he gets more reps. The Saints love him. That's why they drafted him. I mean, the Saints, were surprised when he was there. Would have drafted him higher if they hadn't already committed to Kendre Miller, but they said, hey, they couldn't let him fall any further. So the Saints love Devin Neal. Now I think he gets some live reps. What about this name? Kamere Dike. And for people that don't know, that's the second wide receiver for the Titans. He's the guy that is taking over the Calvin Ridley roller rate. Hey, 67% route share, which was it was third among Aya Manor and Van Jefferson. But hey, Riley could be Calvin Ridley could be out for multiple weeks. So like again, there's a lot of guys that that you want to possibly get in there. What about you? Had any other guys that I didn't mention that catch your eye?
No, just the Kyle Monange and Aronde Jackson Gadsden, and it's going to be very. You're going to have to be picking and choosing this week because you're going to have to see what's on the waiver wire to fill holes.
Yeah.
So keep your eye on the waiver wire and see who gets dropped.
That's true. If people, because if they drop them on Wednesday, they're available by Saturday. So yes, that's definitely a good note. But yeah, if you're really tight and needy, if you can't get the Gadsden, you can't get the Schultz, hey, go out there. Somebody might rage drop Mason Taylor this week after a bad week, but I'll fire Mason Taylor up against Cincinnati this week. You know what I'm saying? So, or against Dallas. Pardon me. But and no, yeah, you know what? We talked about Green Bay Packers against Pittsburgh. Hey, Jonnu Smith, 5 targets guaranteed almost every week, and he runs the most tight end routes for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is one of the highest running 13 personnel, and for the new listeners to the show, 13 personnel is 1 running back, 3 tight ends. They run that all the time. So I don't mind actually getting Freiermuth out there now along with Jonnu Smith. If you're desperate, sometimes different times calls for desperate measures.
I agree.
Okay. Well, with that, before we go to the mini draft, I would just go over a quick review of our listener league. Yours truly, I was fortunate. I always said from the get-go, LT, as long as Jamar Chase produces, I win. Well, he produced, and I won. I had 180 points. So high points for the week. Thank you, Jamar Chase. Thank you, Jonathan Taylor, for your contributions. Beast mode. You like you said, you kind of hit the skids on this week. Better luck next week. I think what all you can say is maybe there could be, hey, your Aaron Rodgers did good. You just need that Jalen Waddle to snap back back into shape. And the other our other contributors to the show, our fearless leader, 411, he was taken down by one of our longtime listeners, Flight Squad. So current standings, Bet on Budridge continuing to hold on to the lead at number 1 with a 2-game lead in the thing. I finally, my 3-game win streak moved me up to number 2 due to total points. I've been fortunate but another watch, Bijan Mustard, another 137 points and another loss. I mean, he has the second highest points in the league and 1 win. Brooks, the showcase. I'm telling you, LT, he needs to get back on the show, because ever since he left the show, he took the mojo with him. When he was on the show, folks, people might remember he won the inaugural 411 Listener League with a team, but he has fallen on hard times since he has left the airwaves. But hey, we got some good matchups coming up. Week 8, I'll be taking on the Grits Blitz. 411 will be taking on United We Stand. That's the 7-3 match. United We Stand. He's the McCaffrey owner in the league, so he's riding high right now. And then, and then Beast Mode. You're taking on you're taking on the guy that has the second most points. You're taking on Bijan Mustard. So, we'll see how that goes. Because Bijan Mustard has been solid week in, week out. So even though, don't let the record fool you, LT. You're gonna have the tough matchup of the three, in my opinion. So, but with that said, LT, I'm going to go over. Oh, hold on.
Yeah, he better bring his A game because I'm bringing mine.
Okay. So I'm going to see if the producers can grab, what I threw in there. If not, I'll tell people, what's going on. We're about to do our mini draft, and I just pulled up the mini draft for the first time ever. LT 411. 411 scored over 100 points. This is the first time the 100-point barrier has ever been broken in a mini draft. That basically means he got 100 points between four players, and one of those players was a tight end. 411 threw almost the triple crown, right? He had the second top quarterback, the top quarterback that started in our league, Patrick Mahomes, number 2 overall, only behind Bo Nix. And then McCaffrey, the top scoring running back, JSN at the top wide receiver in there. So if it wasn't for Fannin, he would. I actually had McBride, so he couldn't pick Fannin. So 411 did his job, and he's already given me his picks, folks. Since Mr. 411 couldn't be here, he's given me his picks, so I will be picking for him, LT. So with that said, I will throw. I'm going to my next spreadsheet. Okay, the wheel of names. I'm rolling the wheel of names. I know you can't see it, but it is rolling as we speak. And 411 goes back into the number 1 slot. LT, I think you like going from the third anyway. That's when you won your 2 weeks.
2 weeks in a row, back to back.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's go there. Remove. All right. You got second, LT.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm sorry to tell you, LT, but 411 told me in the production meeting that if he gets first pick, he's getting Christian McCaffrey. So,
of course,
he said he can't. I mean, especially with our scoring system, you really can't go wrong. It's I'll put in McCaffrey for running back. So you have next pick, LT.
Well, then it'll be real easy for me to take Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes it easy for me that I don't have to pick my running back because that was going to be my pick. Well, actually, that wasn't my pick. You'll see who my pick is later. I'm going quarterback, Josh Allen. And since McBride's on a bye week, I'm going to take the first tight end and take Tyler Warren. All right, LT.
Well, it's back to me then. I'll go ahead and take. Let me take Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, that was going to be.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. Yeah, that was going to be his choice.
Yeah, and he said he's not scared of the injury. He's going Lamar Jackson. Oh no, never mind. I got a point. I take that back. I'm misreading his list. I had it sideways. Oh, he said Jamar Chase he wanted to go wide receiver first, and then he said since you have quarterback, he's going. Since all the quarterbacks are all gone, he said he's going to go into the tight end, and he's saying Jake Ferguson.
Okay.
All right, LT.
Well, that'll make it real easy for me. I'll just go ahead and take Drake London. I am not scared of those Miami Dolphins.
And that's why I'm not scared, because I'm taking Bijan Robinson against the Dolphins. And then I'm going with a wide receiver. I'm going with Justin Jefferson. He's got to go off sooner or later. So I'm going with Justin Jefferson. You need a tight end to end it to end it.
Need a tight end.
Yep.
Well, I'm let's try the Green Bay Pittsburgh game because I believe that's going to be a high scoring game. So let's take Tucker Kraft.
Okay. And 411, he just whispered in my ear, or he just sent me a text. He said he don't want to take a chance with Lamar Jackson. He said give him Bo Nix since they're playing Dallas.
Good pick.
So that was a good pick. I'm glad I stopped myself. Otherwise, 401 could have been upset. So, well, hey, LT, it looks like we got it in just under an hour. So I think Mr. 401 will be proud of us. The producer, great job on coming in on short notice. We were trying to do our best, with what we had. And with that said, we want to wish Mr. 401. He, like I said, he had other commitments. We wish him well in his other commitments. But are there any parting words you want to give to the fans of the show?
Absolutely. And I know it's not on our sport, and I know it's a little off topic, but let's bring on the NBA. Tonight is opening night.
Oh, that is actually Mr. 401's. He's a subject matter expert in all NBA. So definitely, folks, like, subscribe, and notify to our podcast. We appreciate all the thumbs up, and we want you to share it because LT, why do we want people to share our podcast?
Because sharing is caring.
That's right, Mr. Oh, I love it. LT, you say it so great. I love it. And yeah, so definitely also tune in. We got a Thursday podcast with some friendly wagers. We'll be coming in next week again, but we want to, and Mr. 41, I'm sure will be having starting his NBA podcast coming up. So all you NBA fans, definitely tune into that, because if there's one thing Mr. 411 knows, he knows his basketball. Matter of fact, I think LT, I was talking to him not too long ago. He was rewatching some of his old Phoenix Sun VHS playoff tapes to get some ideas on some different offense, because we know some of those fun Phoenix. The Nash and the Sean Marion days where those guys were just running and gunning. They didn't play defense, but if they weren't into they tried. Their object was basically to shoot within the first 10 seconds of the shot clock. So yeah, I love when anytime 411 wants to make himself feel better, he goes and watch old replays of Phoenix Sun running gun days. So, and my thing is also, folks, thanks for tuning in also as well. Want to again work that waiver wire. The fantasy doesn't stop at the draft. The waiver wire is actually what brings you to the championships. LT has a championship to prove it. I have a couple of championships to prove it. So definitely work the waiver wire. And the only way you can do that is to get all the don't just listen to our past. There's other stuff out there that you can listen to. The reason we do the podcast is we want you to make a better player, and we also want to make other people that the fans of our league that play in our league, we're not scared. I'll tell people who I like, but doesn't mean that you can't get everybody I like, right, LT? So
you're right.
But definitely, that's right. So, well, with that said, LT, thank you for tuning in again. I appreciate it. Thanks for hopping on and helping me out. It's always easier to do it with a companion. And again, we wish 411 well in his commitments. And folks, we will see you next week.